Ready, one, take 5.
Action!
We sort of realised there was the potential to do a short film to come out before obviously the main feature films, kind of like the old style ones used to do a few years back. And then it was a case of trying to figure out what to make it about. So if you're not going to do a sort of campaigning stop climate change film, or you're not going to do a how do I get £5 per month to save the tigers type film, what are you going to do? How do you pick from this whole palette of all the animals, all the ecosystems on the world and tell a new story?
I think that the challenge of this project really was to take something which is absolutely at the edge of what people understand, new animals in other words, and the specific thing when we started to look at it as a way of how could we make a movie out of new animals, the problem was to how to transform a piece of information which was essentially contained in stills, because new animals tend to be grabbed at the edge of people's consciousness, and the photographic material is often very tiny, or maybe only one person seeing it once, and those kinds of things. And how to make these essentially inanimate pictures come alive in the cinema was kind of the challenge of the whole story. And story was the answer to it, and that's where Steve Polikoff's script came in, is to create a story which would give us not the drama of actually finding the real animals, but set the animals in a context, in a dramatic context, which would allow us to make those stills in some ways come alive.
So we started with the script, and then Charles and I discussed sort of the ideas behind it, and that we wanted to sort of take the child into sort of, obviously he's sort of going into the depths of the museum, so we wanted this sort of idea that, you know, you're not sure what's going to be there.
Yes!
I just tried to go back to my own childhood, even though this is set now, but I used to love wandering around the Natural History Museum and zoos and places and peering behind the scenes and through doorways, and the idea of this boy going on this little tour, that is the last one on, and being shown these things, I reflected what I was interested in, what I know my son's interested in, and I hoped would interest other people.
Charles and Basil came in about 6 weeks ago for a meeting about a short film. We had an hour or two's meeting, and he gave us a script of what he would like in his mind's eye, and it was all pretty straightforward, just of a child who gets locked in a museum and gets shown all these animals that have been recently discovered.
Wow.
Yes. Now you'd better move on. You don't want to miss the rest.
There's more?
There is.
For me, the most important thing about this whole thing is the fact that the technology, the programs that we use, have been able to bring life to still photography that WWF doesn't have in their archives.
The other big challenge, I suppose, was the end sequence, which is where the child gets shown into this, it is meant to be a spacious room, a huge room where we can't see the edges, and we don't really know what's going on in here until he puts the ticket on a spike and Bill Nye starts talking, and we realise that he's in a huge cinema type environment, and the challenge for this really was to build this room that he was in and make him feel he was in this environment.
You're the last one today.
What I really like about the way the film's turned out is the fact that because of all the contacts that Stephen and Charles have had, we've had literally the best people in British cinema business working on it. So it looks phenomenal. It looks like a proper high-end cinema production, which it is, of course, but working for a charity, you don't normally get the chance to do that type of thing. So it's going to look amazing on the big screen. And the fact it's being shown in Odeon cinemas right before the main feature means an awful lot of people are going to see it, and that's brilliant. Couldn't have asked for any more.
Well, the main challenges were the main pleasures at the same time in a funny kind of way, and they were basically when you're making something. It would be not true to say we made this film for nothing, but we made this film with a great many people donating their time, all the cast, all the special effects, and so on. Ambition at the end of it was you look back on the trailers and think, oh, I'd much rather see a bit more of that one than all those other films that were trying to flop me earlier on. Whether I achieve that, we have to go and see.